Hey guys, Cohesive Friendship Unit here. I'm here with Brian.
She don't lie. She don't lie. She don't lie.
Who?
Cocaine.
Okay.
That
Um,
dirty cocaine.
Jake
Hey guys.
and Jeremy.
Hello.
And we're actually going to be talking about the brand new PUBG map that dropped the same night as the Game Awards. Brian, sorry, Cocaine. What was it, Brian?
What was what? You broke up a
Never
little
mind.
bit.
Brian, Jake, and I have played the new map. Jeremy has not had a chance to play it, so Jeremy might be doing a little bit of interviewing. But we played the new map a little bit. What are our initial impressions on it?
Es un spicy map. Es muy bueno. Me gusta.
You like it? It's very spicy. It's good. Okay.
So for those
A
that
ti
don't
te gusta
know,
mucho?
Oh, a mí me gusta mucho. Sí.
Muy bien hecho.
I don't know what that
Well
means.
done, dude.
welcome to the multilingual podcast.
We're multicultural here. We love everybody, man.
So the new
Jake?
map is the desert map. For those that don't know, about
like
the
Mexico.
same. Yeah, it's sandy, not a lot of vegetation, a lot of rocks and hills and that kind of stuff. Kind of showcases the vaulting that they just put in. I thought the map was good. I mean, we were pretty lost because it was only our first or second time playing, but it was a good map. But I was more impressed with the other improvements they made, which I'm sure we'll get to
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, and we've by no means like combed the map, but we've definitely seen some of the cities, we've seen some of the more rural areas. I thought it was, if you're gonna do a new map, and you're only gonna have two maps for 1.0, I think it's good that you have a pretty significant departure from the old one, and I think this was a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
agree.
I was pleasantly surprised that we didn't. I mean, we looked pretty for the time that we were there. We looked pretty carefully. We really didn't see too much in the way of like recycled assets. Most of it was
Yeah,
different. Maybe
it
not
definitely
new, but
reskinned.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also was impressed that clearly they've been working on this map for a while. It
New
looks pretty
vehicles,
good.
new weapons.
Yeah, there are quite a few new weapons. There's the Winchester, the sawed-off shotgun. There's trucks. There's the minibus. We had a little bit of fun in the minibus.
We
Uh,
drove it. We drove
and
it.
and I think the altered terrain is the topography of it is definitely more significant than in the original map. So I'll be curious to see how firefights go down when there's fewer trees but more hills to work with. Uh,
That's something I've always kind of been interested in. Is when you play something for a while, you can see kind of how people respond to new maps, and then how it sort of changes as the what do you kids call it, the meta.
yeah, yeah,
As that starts to change and people start to learn the map, you can watch how it kind of how some areas are really, everybody goes there when the map's first out,
the
and then
school,
people
the
stop.
hospital.
Well, I mean, everybody wants to go to the hospital.
That's true. Yeah.
I haven't been to the hospital in too long, so
I thought they did
Um,
a good job with the terrain too. Like I didn't feel like we were totally exposed all the time because there's pretty much no trees. But
Yeah,
the
that-
hills were the little hills and rocks were enough to feel like there was still stuff to play around. So
Yeah,
I think
and-
they did a
and-
really good job with this map.
in the gameplay that we're going to be uploading with this video, you can see Brian and I actually we use a hill to take cover that would be a lot rarer to see in the old map. And Jake uses the general like hilliness of things kind of to his advantage towards the end. And it was interesting. The minibus is similar to the sedan in the first map in that its ability to kind of go off road is fairly limited. But we didn't drive a truck, but it looked like the trucks were much more capable of doing that, more
yeah,
off road
more
stuff.
like the.
Yeah.
So
more
it's
like the
it's going to be
US.
interesting to see how like the vehicles restrict you and stuff.
So
I
So
think-
if
Sorry,
I
go
get
ahead.
a clarification, are the vehicles totally different?
The ones that we saw were, yeah.
so Brian,
So
you
they
drove
like they
us
don't have the
around.
They weren't-
Dacia, they don't have the buggy, they don't have
The buggy's probably still there, and there's probably
No,
some
the
sort
buggy
of,
was there. We found a
Yeah, I
buggy.
saw a buggy.
But like the Soviet Jeep and the Dacia aren't there?
there's a pickup truck, and there's a really
And there's-
fucked up looking Volkswagen microbus.
Yeah.
It's
How did
fucked.
they handle? Because I know they made changes, but I never
Yeah,
drove
Brian's the
them.
only one
The
who drove.
bus sucked. I mean, it was like the Dacia in that it doesn't handle well at all, but it also didn't have like any power.
Right.
But the driving mechanics in general are way
driving mechanics
smoothed
in
out. The test server.
on the test server are way better. I was driving on the regular server the other day, and I flipped a bike over in a situation that I never would have flipped a bike over in on the test server, because the handling mechanics are actually fairly well. They're more realistic than they are on the live server. So that was kind of like front and center in my mind. But didn't they say that this was going to be more of an urban map? I didn't really.
Yeah, I
didn't really
think
see that so much.
Well, so it's smaller, but it is more urban. I think so. We were the cities that we went to. We didn't go to all the cities, but the ones we did go to, we did notice that the buildings were more vertical in general.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
El Pozo was very
was-
tall, very metro, very urban.
I was expecting like Baghdad, where the whole thing is just a city. Like you just drop into a city and everyone's
Yeah.
in a city.
That
And
actually
it's a
sounds
city
cool
map.
for a future map.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
they were talking about making a map that was like a quarter the size of the first map that was going to be just that.
That would be
But
exceptionally hard to
focus-
render.
focus
Yeah,
on-
that'd be kill
fo-
frenzy.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that was also part of the issue, because I know like in the original map and like the early, like a few months ago before things started getting a little more smoothed out, just being in a city when it had to render all that geometry was like really tanking people's frames. But it seems like everything's a lot smoother now, so maybe they'd be able to pull that off. But yeah, I mean, I thought it. I liked Brian shot the Winchester. I shot the sawed off. The sawed off as a pistol, I think, is a really kind of clever idea, because it allows you to have a shotgun in the late game, and it allows you to have a not completely useless handgun.
And it looked like there were a lot more Tommy guns too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
I didn't
mess
like
with
the
the drop rates
Winchester
a
that
lot.
much. I know you were really excited for it, Chris, but I don't think you can put any attachments on it. If I remember correctly, it doesn't have any slots, and like I don't know, maybe if you're like right next to someone, it's different, but
So the new gun in the 7.62 gun in the first map, the new one is
DPS.
yeah, that's also you can't put any attachments on it.
Yeah, but that has a really high rate of fire. That has a really big magazine. The Winchester is not like that, and it's
probably high
really
power.
almost like I imagine it's really powerful, but it's almost like a DMR. Like it should.
Yeah, like
have
a
the
good
ability to
mid-range,
mount-
high power.
It should have the ability to mount something. I
Yeah,
know it's not
like a scope
realistic,
or
but if you're going to
something,
put
at
it in the
least.
game, like it's almost like a crossbow. You know?
Yeah, and when you think about it, like think of like times when you've seen Winchesters, when you don't see attachments on them,
No,
It's
because
just
that was
not what you
before
see.
you could put attachments on guns. That's a gun from
Yeah.
the 1850s. So
Yeah.
it makes sense, but I think that might actually be like the new crossbow, because it's fairly slow. You're
That's
fairly
fair.
vulnerable when you're using it, and you
And-
don't have any buffs.
Yeah, and at least it's the crossbow was almost you were adding bolts and quivers and stuff that was only good for a weapon that nobody wanted. So at least this you can pick up
I
some
think-
5.56 and pick up the Winchester, and
I
then
think it was 45. I think it might have been 45.
oh well, either way you can pick up an ammo type.
Yeah, it's
and then when
something
you
that's
find
compatible,
when
yeah.
you find a better one along the way, you can just switch it out. So yeah, I mean, do you guys think that this new map on its own, or this new map in combination with the old one, will give PUBG a fair amount of life ahead going into 1.0? Do you think it'll give it kind of a surge?
No, because what really matters in 1.0 is that both maps are getting the new game mechanics, and I would say that the new game mechanics are a bigger improvement than the new map.
I would tend to agree. I think the first map is pretty good, with the exception of like the northern end of it. But I agree. I think vaulting, the new UI, and the greater stability are definitely more important. Jake?
Yeah, I agree. I think the stability that we saw in the test server was far more important, at least to me, than the actual map. But with that said, there is one thing I want to bring up. I'm reading through the patch notes, and there's a new aquatic vehicle that they added, two-seater aqua rail, which is essentially just like a jet ski.
Jet ski, yeah.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
that's also in the game, which I think is interesting since it's a desert. So the only
So
water
that
is
was
around
water.
the
It's
edge.
an island. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Aren't
it
there a
looks
couple
like
of
the,
rivers.
yeah. There's a river that separates the prison, and there's a few islands that I bet they'll come up with a clever way.
Right, but compared to like
That's
the other map that actually has rivers running through the whole thing,
yeah. I was gonna say at a glance, my biggest weakness with this new map is the water structure. I think the first map had a decent utilization of the water where it had that river kind of cutting through the middle.
Yeah.
And then there was also water all around the perimeter. I think in the future, more rivers would have been better because it forces you to make decisions to cross bodies of water, how you're going to cross them, when you're going to cross them, because it takes longer, it requires more planning. I think, and it restricts your car. Like you can't take a car all around the map, whereas in this map you can. I think that's personally my biggest criticism of this map, but I haven't played enough to see if that's actually going to be a problem.
No, I think it'll be. I think it'll be a good improvement. What I was kind of just thinking about is it would be neat if they did like a winter skin for the Russian map, but I know that that's not going to happen.
I mean, hey, they could even they could do like a
No, but think about that. That would be so cool because like instead of like you could have footprints on the ground that stay there.
yeah.
So
That
you
would
could,
that would be
track
badass.
people. You could have like spots in the ice where you could like fall through, and if you fell in the water, you'd freeze to death.
I'm still in the camp where dynamic weather would be awesome.
Oh hell
If-
yeah, dude! Dynamic
if like
weather would
if we
take
had
it.
if we had snow drift in or we had rain drift in or fought just for like 5 minutes and it
that'd
drifts
be
out.
cool.
Yeah, like if you didn't have a winter jacket, you would start to take health damage.
Oh,
because it
that's
got
good
cold.
too. See, yeah.
That way,
there's-
the clothing would have like a purpose.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that would change it too much into a different type of game, but I think dynamic weather would be cool.
Yeah.
I
Especially
would be
because-
hesitant to go into like the survival area.
Well, that's mostly what it's about. I mean, what were you saying, Chris?
Yeah,
The guy
it's
that
around.
won the guy that won the Gamescom
Well, yeah. I hope
National
to
spent
God
most
that
of
they.
his time in the blue zone.
Yeah, I
healing,
hope.
so-
I hope to God they they are restructuring. So, Jeremy, do you have any questions about this new map that we didn't cover?
No, I think that was you. You guys are pretty thorough. On the whole, how much do you think? Just an overall impression. How much do you think that the new map is going to change the way players approach combat from the original map? Do you think that people are going to be more aggressive because it's smaller and there's maybe a little less cover? Do you think that they will kind of attempt a similar play style, but have to just adapt to the terrain a little bit, or more just kind of wait to be seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, this is going to be like, if we're going to go into like the meta territory, early on, this is going to be kind of fun. It's going to be like your original PlayerUnknown's Battleground, like the first few times you played it when you didn't really have a strategy and you were just kind of going where whatever felt good. You didn't know what was going to kind of come up next, and you didn't really know how to put yourself in a good position. So I think early on, it's just going to kind of be mayhem, but in like a good, fun, like, this is like how we played way back when kind of way. I do think ultimately the verticality is going to be like getting above, getting the high ground, being in the highest building, being on the highest mountain, having the best range of sight is ultimately going to be like what drives this map.
But at the same time, with the whole kind of circle issue, if you're on the top floor, that's a significant issue. If for you having to move in the future.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you
You know
can jump out the window now too.
Yeah, but then you would break your legs if you were.
yeah,
No,
you
you
can't
can
pull
jump
a
from
parachute.
it, but you can go down to like the second floor and jump out the window,
Yeah,
and then
and
you don't have to
so-
worry
so-
about the stairs.
A lot of these buildings have fire escapes or partial fire escapes too. But even like mountains, like, drive your car up onto the highest mountain. Kind of like how there's that one mountain in the first map, and there's like when the circle's kind of ending there, there's definitely an incentive to get up there early. I think there's going to be a lot more of that going on, and just general like thoughts of if you are on the low ground, thinking like positioning yourself in a way that you can't get hit from the high ground. I think that I think this is a map of verticality.
He's been affected by his time in Zelda.
So
Brian and Jake, what do you guys think?
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
So we mentioned that you can vault out of windows and that it's a lot of the buildings are really tall. I would like to see the ability to pull a parachute if you jump from a high area.
Yeah, I mean, you
risk of
probably
making yourself really visible because you're shooting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a trade-off, but it would be nice to be able to, if you need to, jump from the top of a
That
building.
was like
pick up
like
a
the risk
parachute
reward of
spawn.
it.
Right.
And realistically, you'd probably because you've already pulled your chute in the beginning of the game. So just for some sense of realism, like maybe would you have to take a parachute as an item, maybe instead of a backpack?
Pick it up as a spawn, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I agreed with what Chris and Jake said. I think that it's a new flavor, I guess, but it's not really. I think that, like I said earlier, the biggest changes are the changes to the game engine. That's what's really going to make it better, not adding more maps to it.
Yeah.
If it was back in August, then I would say, yeah, maybe add another map while you're working on the game engine. But at this point, I think that the game engine improvements are the most important thing. But the new map's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we all agree that things are shaping up well for 1.0.
They are. We did crash a couple times, but it is far improved from what it is right now.
Yeah. All right. Brian, do you want to say anything?
Do I want to say anything? It's already that time.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I was gonna have a guest in to do this outro thing, but I actually just got a text. It looks like he passed away as he was coming here. So that's unfortunate. But in memory of him, who he's gonna remain nameless out of respect for his family and all that. But out of that, if you could just reverently smash that like button for us tonight, as we're thinking about our friend and lifelong companion here, and
subscribe would be nice. Nice. Yeah.
It's going to be a hard time over the next couple of weeks for all of us, I think. And a subscribe would really do a lot to
a lasting
improve our spirits.
Right. Well, Brian pulls him.
All right.
I'm all right.
Well, Brian gets himself together. Please comment below what you think of the brand new map, Miramar, and have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Bye.